Davey Crazy Man here. Today we go back in time to remember the 1960s haunted classic, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, starring Don Knotts. Get ready for some spooky fun as we look at fun facts and goofs from this fun world, where the lines between the Andy Griffith Show are kind of fuzzy, as I search for as many connections of Barney Five's universe as possible. Just how close did the Munsters live in this world, you may ask? And did Don do his own stunts? And what about the Bewitched connection? And then imagine Don Knotts in a live-action Scooby Doo movie. And remember, Don Knotts' connection to the Scooby Doo universe. So let's get started. The Ghost and Mr. Chicken was Don Knotts' second time to star in a big movie. Now, he appeared in a couple of others, including No Time for Sergeants with his good buddy Andy Griffith. But his first real starring role was the live-action animated combo The Incredible Mr. Limpet, where Don Knotts turned into a fish.
Hey, that's Don Knotts, the funny man from TV. And now Don Knotts stars in a big new color movie as The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
The Ghost and Mr. Chicken was Don's first big project after he stopped being a regular on the Andy Griffith Show. But Don never really got too far from Mayberry. He still appeared on occasion as Barney Fife on the show, and the Ghost and Mr. Chicken had so much in common with the Andy Griffith Show, you might say it was almost like a movie-long episode of the series. The suit that Don wears as his character Luther Heggs is an awfully lot like what Barney Fife used to wear in Mayberry. Luther was an expert in karate, just like Barney Fife.
Build them up to the edges, they're just like steel.
His hands were steel.
All right, you two guys, you just better watch it. You see these hands? They're just as hard as steel. Pin it on me. I'll kill her, Chelsea.
He knew how to use his entire body as a lethal weapon.
That's right, karate made my whole body a weapon. My whole body's a weapon.
You know, you'd swear that the words coming out of Luther's mouth were really Barney Fife's.
Ha! I'm a boob, that's what I am, a boob! Mr. Boob, that's me. B-double-O-B, boob.
Or at least that they came from Mayberry.
You just go up an alley and holler fish.
Why don't you run up an alley and holler fish?
You try and you try and you try, and what do you get? Heartaches.
There's a good reason for the similarities. Andy Griffith came up with the idea of expanding on the episode Haunted House from the Andy Griffith Show that aired in 1963.
This is no place for us. Let's get out of here.
Knotts asked two of the sitcom writers from the Andy Griffith Show, Jim Frizzell and Everett Greenbaum, to work on a screenplay, and Griffith met with them and the producers to develop ideas for the movie. Andy came up with the attaboy line that was used over and over in the movie. It was a line that became a national craze for a short time.
Attaboy, Luther! Attaboy, Arnold! Curb your torment! Attaboy, Luther! Attaboy, Luther!
Oh, one quick note. My wife says it sounds like I'm saying Barney Five sometimes. Well, see, I used to say it like that a lot when I was a kid. I thought his name was Barney Five. So, for the record, I do know that it is Barney Fife. F-I-F-E.
Nip it! Nip it in the bud!
Oh, sorry. Back to what I was saying. Not only that, but there were several actors that appeared on the Andy Griffith Show that popped up on the movie.
Want this drunk thrown in the tank?
Throw me in the tank!
Hal Smith, who played Otis the Town Drunk in Mayberry and appeared on the episode The Haunted House, was in the movie as the Town Drunk. Naturally. Ellen Corby appeared during the courtroom scene as Luther's third-grade teacher. Now, on the Andy Griffith Show, she played a crooked old lady that sells Barney a cart that is a broken-down lemon. Did you know that she not only played Grandma Walton, but also played the mother of Lurch from the Addams Family, which, coincidentally, the composer of the Ghost and Mr. Chicken soundtrack, Vic Mizzy, also wrote the theme for the Addams Family. Also, there was Burt Mustin, who was Judd Fletcher on the Andy Griffith Show, and there was Rita Shaw, who was on 2 episodes, one as an escaped convict and one as Barney's singing teacher. I read there were about 15 actors appeared on the Andy Griffith Show and the movie.
He heard those things!
Rita Shaw also played on Bewitched 4 times, twice as Aunt Hagatha, which leads me to Charles Lane.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He was on 8 episodes of Bewitched, 1 episode of The Andy Griffith Show, and pretty much every other classic TV show I ever watched.
Would you elaborate?
And then there was Dick Sargent, who was the second Darren on Bewitched, and Sandra Gold, who was the second Gladys Kravitz. Burt Mustin was also on Bewitched. I bet if I tracked them all down, most of the actors in the movie probably appeared on both shows. The movie is like a classic TV mashup of sitcom actors.
It was terrible. It was just terrible. I'll never get over it as long as I live.
No, I mean, that was a good thing. The Simmons house in the movie where the 2 murders occurred 20 years before in the story was actually physically located right next to the Munsters home, even though you can't see it in the movie. You can see the Simmons house in the Munsters movie, Munster Go Home. I wonder if Herman knew he was that close to a murder scene. And now a few goofs from The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. As Luther rushes into the police station to report the murder of Hal Smith's character, the men playing checkers in the background get up 2 times in a row, not 1 second apart.
Come and murder? Murder?
Murder? No, this isn't mine.
In a newspaper article that Luther wrote about the anniversary of the murders that took place in the mansion, there are duplicate columns on either side of Luther's story. The story reads, companies are proceeding on the theory that building extra facilities in a period of sales decline will pay off as soon as demand, etc., etc., etc. When Luther goes down the chute in the movie, I know it's just the back of his head that we see, but something tells me that is not Don Knotts' hair. Wonder if that means Don didn't do the elevator stunt either. Post your thoughts in the comments. The light coming from Luther's flashlight is projected everywhere except for where Luther has it pointed. Unless there's a ghost pointing their flashlight at Luther here, the light from his flashlight has bounced off something and landed back on himself. The case of the ghostly flashlight.
Now, if I win this suit, and I will...
Does anyone else feel it strange to have a painting outside of your window?
1 and a 2 and a...
Don Knotts, having proved himself as one of the truly heroic cowards of American cinema and television,
Holy Toledo.
was a perfect guest star to team up with Scooby and Shaggy. Twice. Perhaps it was Knotts' performance in The Ghost and Mr. Chicken that got him a couple of spots on the 1972 TV series The New Scooby Doo Movies. Don first appeared in the episode Guess Who's Not Coming to Dinner? It starts out with Don trying to scare the Scooby Gang, but then they end up teaming up to solve a mystery. The weird thing about this episode is that Scooby recognizes him as Don Knotts.
Everybody back, freeze!
But then he introduces himself as Homer Pipsqueak.
Homer Pipsqueak, world famous private eye.
Then the next time Don shows up in the episode The Spooky Fog of Juneberry, they pretend like the last time they met didn't happen, and this time he's going by his real name, Don Knotts. In this episode, they do a bit of a parody on the Andy Griffith Show with Sheriff Dandy Griffith, and Don dresses like Barney Fife, protecting the town of Juneberry. You know, Don was working pretty regular almost up to the time of his passing in 2006, which is why I wonder why didn't they get him to do at least 5 minutes or more on a live-action Scooby Doo movie that came out in 2002. That would have been awesome. He did do voice work for a Scooby Doo video game in 2002 called Scooby Doo Night of 100 Frights.
I'll just get myself a big old rubber monster suit.
Don Knotts' good buddy Tim Conway also did voice work on that video game. A few years later, in 2010, a look-alike character for Don was used on the Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated series. Well, thanks for watching another video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks if you have. Hit the like. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments below.
Let me clarify this.
Because, well, I love reading comments, and it helps the channel and the video. So that'd be greatly appreciated. Y'all have a great day. Oh, I think the next video is going to be on McHale's Navy. That's the one I'll be working on next, and maybe another Superman video. Just kicking it all around. Anyway, see y'all later.
Thank you for having me.